Good morning, Maryville. It's Tuesday, and today I want to talk to you about AP Capstone, which is a curriculum that's really tough. It's taught by two of the hardest teachers at Maryville High School, and most universities probably won't recognize the AP credit. But I'm going to convince you to take it. So far, I'm not doing so hot. Let's talk about reasons. Reason number one is AP Capstone is going to help you learn how to give better talks. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, that's his pitch. That's exactly why I'm not going to take the class, because I don't want to have to give any more speeches than I already do. For me, I remember an experience where I was telling a story at lunch about something I did at camp, and someone sarcastically said, "Wow, Caleb, you just love to tell stories about yourself." And so, somewhere along the way, we've learned to be afraid of public speaking. But public speaking is not that hard. Little kids do not have a fear of public speaking. And I think that's important to consider, because somewhere along the way, you've learned your fear of public speaking. According to Psychology Today, 75% of people rank public speaking as their highest fear, above horror movies, above death. I mean, this is crazy. Now, of course, one thing you'll learn in AP research is never to quote Psychology Today, so you'll be relieved to know that I did not. I learned that on Wikipedia. But I think it's important to consider that whatever career you go into, that unlike math or science that are really helpful in a specific career, being able to communicate and give a talk is going to be valuable in almost every career. Whatever career you pursue, there are going to be many circumstances, whether you're talking to a group of people in a meeting, or whether you're giving your college thesis, or really any place where you need to share an idea and convince people that it's valuable. I've been spending the past 6 months going all around California and pitching my ideas in places like Menlo Park and at Stanford, and I have realized just how valuable the things I learned in AP Seminar and AP Research are. Like, pay attention to who your audience is. It was really important for me to be able to get up in front of a group of researchers and use a different set of vocabulary than when I got up in front of a group of business people who want to know about the numbers and the figures. And the second reason I want to share with you is that AP Capstone just really made research interesting for me. And I know that's funny to say, but going into the class, I just thought I knew everything there was to know about research. I mean, I've done a research project before, obviously. I've read research projects. I know how this works. And then I came into the class and I learned all these new things about, I personally, I didn't realize that most research is not a scientific experiment. And of course that's a part of research, but it's just a subset of research. And there's other types of research like meta-analyses and quantitative research and, phenomenology, which is just fun to say. And the third reason that I just loved AP Capstone, and I think you would too, is AP Capstone is going to be so valuable to your future career. And what do I mean by that? The things you learn in an English class, like how to articulate an argument, how to write a research paper, how to communicate your ideas, how to create a line of reasoning that's easy to follow. All of those things are things that you use all across the board, like trying to convince your parents to give your phone back to you when you have a D in Mr. Menden's class, or trying to convince a college to let you in. There's so many different places where you're going to use the type of skills that you learn in AP Capstone. Let's be real, sometimes the things you learn in an English class are kind of boring. Can Dr. Ferguson revoke my diploma? Yeah, they're kind of boring. But AP Capstone has a lot of really fun and interesting things too. And so, if you can combine the boring and the interesting, but also the practice, you're gonna get to actually experience giving the speeches, writing the papers, and doing all those things, so that at the end of the class, you don't just have a grade, you have a project, a physical paper, a body of work that you can look back and say, wow, I'm really proud of that. And that was something for me, to be able to look back and be proud of something that I did. That just didn't happen very often for me in high school. Before we go, let's talk specifics. So AP Capstone is 2 years worth of classes. You're going to take AP Seminar first, which is where you get to do a couple of smaller projects, like a group project, an individual project, and a couple of just sample things to really get to practice the research and the giving talks that you'll be doing in AP Research, which is the second year of the class. And in that class, you're going to get to pick a question, decide a way of researching that question, and then really spend a good chunk of the year getting to do a real research project with all the real ethical requirements, the kind of thing that you could send to a college. I mean, like it's a legit research project. As far as homework goes, the load is actually very reasonable. I mean, I can't think of a time in AP Seminar where I had more than 15 minutes of homework on a given time. So it's very challenging, don't get me wrong, but the workload, as long as you stay consistent, then the workload is very reasonable. Even in the heat of my research project, when I had the most to do, having more than an hour of homework, the only reason that would ever happen is if you had been procrastinating for a very long time. Yeah, I actually only know that through word of mouth because I never turned in anything late in that class. But can Mr. Mendez revoke my diploma? I want to give you some pro tips before you start. First of all, I think it would actually really serve you to start thinking about what kind of question you would want to answer with a year-long research project right now, before you've even started the class. And I know you're thinking, that's ridiculous, Caleb. It's more than a year before the class starts. Are you going to give me not even a summer homework, but a full year-long homework? And you don't have to do it. It's not a requirement by any means, but I think it's really valuable to start thinking about what kind of questions you want to answer. What do you find interesting? Because there's a lot of people out there, there's a lot of even teachers who are going to ask you, what do you want to do with your life? You know, who do you want to be? And it's a really scary question because it feels like you have to pick something, like you have to commit to a 40-year career and you have to decide the one. A better way to think about what you want to do with your life is just to think about what do you find interesting? What questions do you want to answer? If you have any questions, feel free to talk with Mr. Mendez, talk with Dr. Ferguson. They would be happy to answer any questions about the structure of the class and anything like that. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to send me an email. With that, have a great semester and go Rebels.